Hey everybody, Seth Campbell here with the new Segue Says podcast. Well, observant viewers may notice that the camera angle is a little different. That's because I'm actually filming this with a tripod now. So as opposed to just the phone being precariously balanced on a tiny shelf and leaning on the peg from a microphone stand, it's now on a tripod, precariously balanced on a shelf, leaning against a peg from a microphone stand. Well, we'll see how it works. I'm just testing this out. Now, a little bit of housekeeping. Last week was the 75th episode, and to celebrate that, I am finally almost done with the blooper reel from now the first 75 episodes. It was going to be released with the 50th episode, but editing it took so much longer than planned. I decided to do it for the 75th. That is almost done. So bear with me. We will have that to you very soon. Meanwhile, back to segues, and it's only fitting that we welcome back some old friends, which would be Toto. Now, I wanted to do a Toto segue last week, but it being the 75th, I wanted to have the 75th episode be the one where we talked about rewriting songs to make your own segues. But shortly, a few days before taping that episode, I say taping as if there's any actual tape involved. I'm filming this on a phone in 2015. But a few days before the filming of that episode, I went to see Toto again. My brother Spencer and I had VIP tickets, so we got to go in early, see soundcheck, meet the band, ask questions, etc. Steve Lukather remembered me. This is not a drill. Steve Lukather, legendary guitarist, songwriter, singer Steve Lukather, remembered me from last year as that Segue kid from Berkeley. There are no words. Highlight of my life, one of the greatest nights of my life. So I figured we had to do another Toto segue because there are quite a few. And, you know, what other band out there knows me at all, let alone knows me as Segue? So my thanks once again to Steve Lukather, especially David Page, David Hungate, Steve Procaro, and Joseph Williams for just being the absolute coolest people on the planet and being so nice and just making it one of the greatest nights of my life. So, the Toto song we're using this week is called Wings of Time, and it's on the Kingdom of Desire record. It's actually going to be the second song in this segue. The first song is called Broken Wings by Mr. Mister. Now, as the titles would imply, both of these songs use the imagery of wings very heavily. And so, there's almost a connection of the lyrics. And we'll see how that plays out when we look at the songs and their lyrics more in depth. Now, Broken Wings was a huge hit for Mr. Mister. I believe it reached number 1 in the US, number 4 in the UK. Mr. Mister was sort of an alternative 80s rock band. They released this, I just read this, I was doing a little research for this episode. They released this song just before going on tour to be the opening act for Tina Turner. And they just said skyrocketed in popularity because of this song. It was 1985, I believe, on their second record. It's famous for its synthesizer sounds. Now, while I don't have the exact sounds they use, I do have this sound called sparkling piano that works pretty well for both of these songs. And I like to use for this, especially because the Mr. Mister song is famous for the beginning. There's this sort of hissing sound. It's actually a reversed crash cymbal. But this piano sound gives us a little bit of that, as well as the breathy, ethereal nature that both of these songs have. Now, I first heard this song because my professor and now good friend Mark Shalansky, shout out to Mark, he's an awesome professor, awesome guy, brought this song into our Arranging for Songwriters class to show us just such a unique arrangement. Every instrument in this song is playing a really unique part, brilliantly crafted. And so I heard it in the class, really loved it, and learned to play it, as these things tend to happen with me. So it's actually a very interesting song for a number of reasons, mainly because it's got different sections in different keys, which is, funnily enough, something Toto usually does if you see songs like Rosanna or Africa. So 99 times out of 100, if I tell you we're doing a segue with two songs, one of them's a Toto song, and one of them has three different sections with three different keys, 99 times out of 100, Toto is going to have the song that's in three different keys. Not this time. So, the verse and the chorus are probably the best known parts of this song, so I'm going to play you those, but those are not actually the sections we're concerned with because of the key difference. And one last thing I should say is that this song is kind of on the border between swing 16ths and straight 16ths. The swing is really, really subtle, but for our purposes, we're going to act as though it's just plain old straight 16ths, or swing 16ths, excuse me, because Wings of Time is swing 16ths, and we need that continuity. Notice the starting key is G sharp minor, but the only instrument, if you can call it that plays a minor is the voice. All the other instruments are playing these sus2 chords the whole time, which is unlike anything else I've ever heard, at least in the pop charts. Baby, don't understand why we can't just hold on to each other's hand. Oh. This time could be the last, I fear, unless I make it all too clear. I need you so. So take, key change, these broken wings, learn to fly again, learn to live so free. And when we hear the voices sing, the book of love will open up and let us in. And take these broken wings. So as you can hear, very unique, unlike pretty much anything else I've ever heard. It's a really cool song, very fun, and I encourage you to look up the original because, as I mentioned earlier, the arrangement between the instruments is just phenomenal. Now, the part that we're actually concerned with, there's a bridge and then an outro that are a little different from each other, but both end up centering themselves around F sharp minor as opposed to G sharp minor. And this time, it's not a sus2. This time, it's just playing F sharp minor. Now, the outro, which is what we're worried about, goes like this. And basically loops and fades there. But we're in swing 16ths, pretty much. Again, it's very, very on the border, very subtle. And we're in F sharp minor. Now, F sharp minor is also the key of Wings of Time. Now, Wings of Time, as I mentioned, I believe I mentioned already, is on the Kingdom of Desire record, which is the first record with Steve Lukather as the main lead vocalist after a number of, well, it's a long story. But suffice to say, Steve Lukather was the only vocalist. It's also the last album that Jeff Porcaro, the original drummer, is on. He tragically died very young, shortly after the, I believe right around the time of the album's release. He wasn't able, it was before the tour that they still had to go on. Now, I don't know if this is true, but I have read that part of the chorus lyrics of this song, Our Love Doesn't End Here, It Lives Forever on the Wings of Time, are what's written on Jeff Porcaro's tombstone. So there's a lot of poeticism there. A lot of the songs on the Kingdom of Desire record, as well as the cover art, which you have to see for yourself, it's a little surreal that, you know, they released these songs, or they wrote and recorded these songs, and then Jeff Porcaro died because of some of the lyrics and the imagery. It's really amazing to listen back on. This is the song, Wings of Time. This is 2 verses and a chorus. Faithful companion lost my way once again, a prisoner of darkness. I let you down, my friend. Oh yes, I did. A heart left abandoned takes so long to heal its wounds. A touch not forgotten, the end of a dream comes too soon. In this lonely room, till I leave this earth, always know that I will surrender my heart to the sky. Our love doesn't end here, it lives forever on the wings of time. And then the next verse begins. So as you can hear, again, if you listen to the lyrics, kind of spooky almost, I suppose you could say. It's very poetic in hindsight and really tragically beautiful on a number of levels. So that is Wings of Time. And as you can hear, swing 16ths, it's much more emphasized that it's swing 16ths here. But it's in F sharp minor, which is the key that Broken Wings ends in. So we now bridge that to create, and there are so few segues that I can do this with the titles. It's just a cute little stunt, and I love it so much. I call this particular 2-song segue Broken Wings of Time. Oh, I thought it was cool. But you have the outro. It's an F sharp minor chord for 3 bars, E, D, each for half a bar, and then it loops. And Wings of Time starts with a pickup on the 4th beat, so it's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it starts on this B, which is the 4. It's a B. I think it might just be a 5, it might be a sus. It comes by very quickly. I think some instruments are playing notes other than just the 1 and the 5, but for our purposes it's a 5. And the F sharp at the beginning is also pretty much a 5. You know, the guitar and backing synths will play the minor third, so it is a minor. It's definitely a minor. But you go from Broken Wings, which is based on all these sus2s rather than regular chords for most of the time, and then you go to Wings of Time, which is very centered around fifths. So both of these songs are doing funky things with standard chords. Now, basically, as I've said, you have the last bar of the outro of Broken Wings is 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what we need is to substitute the 4th beat with this. Now there are a couple ways you can do that. You could just simply replace the 4th beat of the Broken Wings outro and leave everything else as is. Which works, but I like to give a little stop to, cue the audience in that something special is happening here, that we're changing. We're, little speed bump just to make sure people are paying attention. So I like to replace the D with one more beat of E, a very staccato beat on the 3, and then on the 4. So this is what that would sound like. Now I'm just going to cycle around one time. Funnily enough, these are the notes that Luke plays on the guitar at very least in a live version on Live in Poland, which is one of my favorite records of all time. But I believe he does that on the original as well, and funnily enough, this top note is the tension 9, which is so prominent in the chords of Broken Wings. So you have a connection there as well. Between the odd chords, the tension 9s, and the lyrical imagery of Wings, this one was just kind of waiting to happen. And that is pretty much it. You have one song, you go into the other, and because of all the different keys that Broken Wings goes into, it's very difficult to do Wings of Time first into Broken Wings, mainly because Wings of Time sort of fades out, even live kind of fades out in this jam. Basically, at some point, you just have to go to this chord and hope no one's too jarred. Because within Broken Wings itself, there are a couple of jarring key changes, so you could probably get away with it. Like when you have the bridge that's similar to the outro, but not the same. That's a D major to a G sharp minor sus2, which is about as weird a leap as you can get. So if people know Broken Wings, then it's easier to get away with that. Of course, you'd only be doing that if you haven't played Broken Wings yet. So it's up to you if you want to take the risk, but the option is there. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks for sticking with me for now 76 episodes as we venture into the next batch of 75. And thanks once again to all the guys from Toto for just being so awesome, so nice, and so inspiring. And I'm sure there will be more Toto segues because their songs just work so well for this purpose. So, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. I will see you next week.